The story begins in a black and white world. We meet a taxi driver named Harris, calmly driving his cab after resetting the meter to find his next passenger. Strangely, the moment he resets it, something small falls onto the back seat. As he drives, Harris turns on the radio. The news is talking about how aliens might have altered the flow of time and reality, something humans themselves may not even realize. Uninterested, Harris quickly switches the station, only to hear another program where a woman confesses her unhappiness with her marriage. Though she shares intimacy with her husband, she still feels emotionally distant. Just then, the dispatcher radios in, asking about Harris's next pickup and joking that he should drive carefully. Otherwise, the hill mutants might tear him apart on such an empty road. Soon, Harris finds his next passenger. She's a beautiful, gentle, and polite woman named Penny, who asks to be dropped off at Almond and River Drive. Harris agrees, and as they drive through a desert area, they exchange light conversation. He even flirts a little. But suddenly, as they pass through a dark zone, a bright lightning bolt flashes across the sky, and Penny vanishes. Shocked, Harris looks around but finds no trace of her. Confused and scared, he tries to get out of the car, but his seatbelt is jammed. When he calls the dispatcher for help, he's told to just reset the meter and get back to work. Reluctantly, Harris does so, convincing himself it must have been a bad dream. Once again, something falls into the back seat, but this time it's clear. It's a coin. Everything happens exactly as before. The same news on the radio, the same conversation, the same route. Yet Harris has no memory of it happening before. As he's about to take a sip from his bottle, his car suddenly bumps into something. The loop seems to repeat, but a few small details change. His chat with the dispatcher feels different, and when he picks up Penny again, their conversation starts in a new way. Then an accident occurs. Penny gets hurt, and Harris, panicking, grabs her hand, calling her by name. But Penny looks at him in shock. She never told him her name. The moment he touches her, the screen changes from black and white to color. Penny softly says, "I didn't tell you my name, but you remembered it." Harris is stunned. When he lets go of her hand, everything turns black and white again. When Penny grabs his hand back, the world turns colorful once more. Harris begins seeing flashes of the past and grows terrified. Penny calmly tells him, "This time, you must remember me." Just then, the dispatcher calls again, demanding Harris focus on work. Suddenly, static fills the radio, and Penny disappears. Terrified, Harris again can't unbuckle his seatbelt. The dispatcher orders him to reset the meter and keep working. When he does, another coin drops onto the seat, and the loop starts once again. But now, Harris remembers everything. That's when we realize why everything was in black and white before, because Harris had no memories. Now that he remembers, the world is in color. He picks up Penny again and asks about the loop. Penny explains that Harris has been living this same cycle with her countless times. Every time, she remembered everything, but Harris forgot. This time, though, they both remember, and Penny is overjoyed, finally not alone in this endless loop. Harris suspects they're part of some scientific experiment, but Penny denies it. Suddenly, lightning flashes again, and Penny disappears once more. Furious, Harris struggles to break free from the seatbelt. When he fails, he cuts it, but accidentally slices his hand. Frustrated, he resets the meter, restarting the loop. The cut on his hand vanishes instantly. He takes a sip of water and drives off again. When he reaches the dark zone, Penny disappears as usual. Harris suggests changing the drop-off location, but Penny sadly explains she's already tried everything. Nothing breaks the loop. Harris can't understand why he's suddenly able to remember now, or why he can even reset the loop at will. Then he realizes it might have something to do with a car accident. The crash broke the divider between the driver and passenger seats, letting him see Penny clearly, which perhaps triggered his memory. Whatever the cause, Penny is relieved. She's experienced this loop countless times, always with Harris as a stranger. But now he finally remembers her. Over time, the two grow closer. Penny tells Harris she runs a plant nursery and works as a horticulturist. Harris admits he became a taxi driver only out of necessity. His father was one too, but he's ashamed of his job. Penny comforts him, saying his work is meaningful because he helps people reach their destinations. Harris is touched by her words. But just as they're forming a deeper connection, lightning strikes again and Penny vanishes. Later, Harris learns that in the real world, Penny is married, but unhappily. Her husband is brilliant but always busy, neglecting her emotionally. Though she's thought of leaving him, her powerful family ties prevent it. Meanwhile, Harris opens up about his past. He once fell in love with a woman passenger who suddenly disappeared, never telling him why. Since then, he believed she left because he was just a taxi driver. Penny tells him that his work is noble and that he should never be ashamed. Harris smiles, deeply moved, when suddenly, lightning flashes again, and Penny disappears once more. This time, Harris's patience finally runs out. He's desperate to escape the endless cycle, no matter the cost. So, instead of resetting the meter, he decides to drive off in search of Penny. But as soon as he starts the engine, lightning intensifies, shaking his taxi violently, almost as if warning him to turn back. Harris ignores the signs and keeps driving. The thunder grows louder, and the radio begins to play a deep, haunting woman's voice, repeatedly telling him to go back. Still, Harris presses on. Moments later, the radio distorts into terrifying, otherworldly noises. Then, suddenly, his taxi veers onto an unfamiliar road. The world outside turns completely white, blindingly bright. Amid the light, a dark shadow appears, its booming voice commanding him to turn around. Horrified, Harris gives in and resets the meter. The loop restarts. Penny reappears, and both are overjoyed to see each other again. When Harris struggles with his seatbelt as usual, Penny effortlessly unbuckles it for him in a single motion, something that had never been possible before. Harris is stunned. Soon, the two share an emotional, intimate moment, realizing how incomplete they are without each other. But as Harris gently strokes her hair, he notices a scar on Penny's head, the same wound she got during the car accident. It shocks him, because if they were truly trapped in a time loop, the injury should have vanished when time reset. That's when the truth hits him. They aren't in a loop at all. Time is still moving forward. Harris isn't repeating time, he's repeating his task. When he confronts Penny, her reaction reveals she knows far more than she admits. Pressed for answers, Penny grows frightened. She warns Harris not to dig deeper, that discovering the truth could doom them both. Harris refuses to listen, demanding the truth. But before she can explain, a lightning bolt strikes, injuring Penny. As she fades away, she manages to whisper one final warning. Don't drink the water in the taxi. When the meter resets again, Harris immediately throws away his water bottle. This time, when he reaches the pickup location, his passenger isn't Penny, it's an old man. The man asks to be taken to the same destination Penny always chose. During the drive, Harris suddenly remembers the truth. Penny was the same woman he had fallen in love with long ago. She had once come to his town on vacation and often booked his taxi. Over time, they became close. Penny had told him stories about two stars, Altair and Vega, celestial lovers separated by the Milky Way who could only meet once a year. Eventually, Harris confessed his love to Penny. But that's when she revealed she was already married. Heartbroken, Harris withdrew from her for days. When he finally gathered the courage to see her again, she was gone, vanished without a trace. Consumed by grief, Harris drove recklessly, leading to a fatal accident. That was the day Harris died. Now, back in the present, Harris finally understands. He isn't just a taxi driver, he's a ferryman of souls. When he drops off the old man, the passenger gives him a gold coin, an ancient symbol of passage to the underworld. Harris is speechless. The dispatcher calls again. This time, the voice on the radio reveals the truth. Harris is his ferryman, and according to ancient lore, ferrymen are the spirits who guide lost souls to the underworld in exchange for gold coins. That's why a coin appears in his back seat each time the meter resets. His entire taxi is filled with them. Then Harris realizes, if he is the ferryman, then his boss, the dispatcher, must be Death himself, the gatekeeper of the underworld. But there's one more shocking truth. Penny is Death's wife. In her earlier conversations, she had mentioned her husband being brilliant but too busy with his work. That work was maintaining the balance of life and death. Death was so consumed by his duties that he rarely spent time with her. So once a year, Penny would secretly visit Earth to escape him, and her only way back was through the ferryman. Death had discovered her affair with Harris. In his rage, he cursed Harris to become a ferryman for eternity, forever bound to his seatbelt so he could never escape his duty. Penny, being queen of the underworld, could only lift small parts of the curse. That's why she could unbuckle his seatbelt, but not free him completely. If she did, Harris would have crossed into the afterlife forever. To spare him that fate, she gave him a potion of forgetfulness hidden in his water, making him lose his memories each year. Every time he forgot, they could meet again as if for the first time, just like the stars Vega and Altair, reuniting once a year. But Harris's love was so powerful that, when he touched her hand, it broke the spell, restoring all his memories. Overwhelmed by the truth, Harris breaks down in tears. Death's voice echoes through the radio, reminding him that remembering doesn't free him. His duty as the ferryman continues. He must keep transporting lost souls to the underworld. With no other choice, Harris resets his meter once again and resumes his eternal journey. Over the year, he ferries countless souls, each with their own story. Finally, he meets Penny again. She's heartbroken seeing what Harris has become and blames herself for his suffering. But Harris, now at peace, tells her not to worry. He's learned to accept his fate, realizing his work carries deep meaning. He gently drops Penny at her location and promises to meet her again next year. As he drives away, he resets his meter one last time, continuing his endless duty as the ferryman, content to meet his love for only 20 minutes each year. Their story ends where it began, with love, death, and eternity intertwined. Harris, forever the ferryman, and Penny, forever the queen of the underworld. Their love remains incomplete, but in that incompleteness lies its eternal perfection. So that's it. Hope you enjoy the story. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more videos.